If we continue a meeting, do we have to renotice everything, or can we just simply adjourn the meeting, and continue the meeting to be, and state the scheduled date of the?
Yeah, my understanding is that if at the meeting, if let's say there's a ton of people here and after 3 hours you haven't gotten through the public hearing yet, you can, my understanding is that you can adjourn the public hearing to a later time without having to renotice it.
Without, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
my understanding. Right?
yeah, and so if we did that and it was 2 weeks away, the city might consider just as a courtesy, just send them a letter or something,
Right.
just so everyone's clear what's going on, because a lot of people can't make the meeting. But yeah, you have to be careful when you're making that, when you're doing that, because if you close the public hearing say, okay, well, we're going to close the public hearing, and once you close it, then it's closed, and then to reopen it, then you would have to do all over again. So you have to be very careful in your language to make sure that you're suspending it or adjourning the public hearing until a specific time.
Okay.
And so this also specifies that you can't say, yeah, we'll pick it up in a couple weeks. It's like, no, you have to know at that time
Exactly.
it's going to be, next Monday at 7:30 at this location.
Okay.
And all of that. So questions on public hearings? This is kind of like planning 101 all over again for some of you guys. 2207 fees and applicant escrow accounts. This is the last of my changes here. This is language that has been expanded a bit for the city to establish and collect not only application fees, but also require that the applicant submit funds that are held in escrow. So the way that works is that when someone comes in for anything, rezoning, site plan review, Schneider Manor, for example, they paid an application fee, and they also and then there's also an escrow policy that the city council has adopted. So the application fee goes to pay for any publication costs, paying planning commissioners, paying staff to process the application. It covers all of those costs. And then the escrow fees are fees that are held in escrow that are refundable to the applicant for whatever's not spent. And those go to paying people like me, the planner, or any other contracted folks. So
Engineers, that sort of thing.
engineers, attorneys, architects, and so on and so forth. And so if it's a really complicated application, they might have to continue paying an escrow, and that money is used up by professionals. And then whatever, at the end of the project, when we're done, whatever money of that escrow is not spent gets returned to the applicant, where the regular application fee is not something that's refundable. So that completes the suggestions that I had here. There's just some minor renumbering, and again, this is not anything terribly complex, and we'll need to hold a public hearing on this as well and make a recommendation to council since it's a zoning amendment. If you're comfortable with everything I have here, I can do the same thing, as we did with the short-term rentals, which is I can put it in the proper format, notice it for a public hearing for the January 8th meeting, and we can move forward on that if you are comfortable with it.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. We also have elections of the officers for our council, our commission in January.
Yeah.
Which is generally a short session. And then we have the 2 public hearings. And they'd be separate public hearings, would they not?
Yeah, so we would notice them separately, and you would hold one, you would open a hearing, hear comment only pertaining to short-term rentals, correct? Close that one, make a motion, then come back to the next one, same thing. So
Close that.
kind of be the same, but they would be done at separate and specific portions of the meeting, because they're totally unrelated topics, other from, aside from the fact that they're in the zoning ordinance.
Right. Right. But they would be under new business for us.
Yes.
So it would be. Oh. And so will you also set up the calendar so that we can have the calendar at the December meeting for 2018?
Yes.
If you'll have that there, that would be helpful, I think. And then obviously we have to abide by our new ordinances here for noticing 15 days in advance or what. Just teasing. That'll be Christmas, so,
I'll get that set up for you.
okay, appreciate it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Do we have anything else pending, Sue, that you're aware of? I
No.
mean, we have the one in December,
Yeah,
correct?
just the one in December is what we have planned for the December meeting, then I'll add on the dates as well.
Okay, if you would, I'd appreciate that. Andy, do you have anything else?
I do not. There is, and this doesn't impact you, there is a variance request in front of City Council that will be heard next Monday on a sign. It's just sort of FYI. Otherwise, nothing further.
Sue, anything from staff?
I have nothing.
Do you have any more applicants? We are at our minimum here.
I'm working on
I
one.
need,
She's working on it.
yeah, I'm working on one too here, hopefully.
Welcome.
Yeah, we'd love to have
Sit
you.
right here. Plenty of room.
Commissioners, any,
I am good. I'm good.
Vanda, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to have you aboard. We didn't
Forward to it.
didn't scare you away?
No, no.
But you can step in and
And,
make comments.
okay.
Bruce likes it when you do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I consider that an honor.
Talk about this.
Oh, yes, we do. We have to go over, good, I'm glad you caught that. We also have on the agenda the Lowell downtown placemaking plan. And it's in your packets.
A lot of nice pictures. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, this is the first I've seen it. I had no clue this even existed. So I was shocked by it, and it actually, there's a lot of really good things in here. I mean, a lot of really good things.
But a lot of it got shot down when because of the state, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are some concepts in here that, when MDOT redid, Main Street, you know, they didn't build the bulb outs, for example.
Right.
But there's lots of other stuff in here that the city can still do that are unaffected by that. So what this is it's a placemaking plan. It was done for the downtown in the DDA a couple of years ago with the transition between city managers and some of those issues that kind of, I think, just got lost in the shuffle and never adopted. And so my understanding is that Mike, the city manager, wants probably in January or February for the council and planning commission and DDA to be up to speed on this thing, and just all this is on the agenda for tonight is just so you have it and to let you know that you should review it, and if you have things that you think should be changed or edited or included or modified or something, to have those in mind and bring them to a future joint meeting, which has not yet been decided when that will be. This is not an adopted document. I know it doesn't say draft on it, but it is technically, I believe, a draft. It is a final draft, but there's a lot of new faces and new staff and new council members, new planning commissioners, probably new DDA members. So again, all of your input is going to be important. And I think we'd like to make some of these things happen and get some more improvements going downtown, which are spelled out in here. So it's a really cool plan. There's a lot of really great ideas in it, like you said. So I definitely encourage you to look at it, study it. If you have edits, comments, and suggestions, to bring them to a future meeting.
Yeah, I like the kayak, south side of 21 there. Boardwalk and a kayak.
Yeah.
I think that side of the river.
That whole thing down there, and I also like the welcome roundabouts and things of
Yep.
that nature. It does a couple of things. It slows the traffic down, number one, but it gives you an opportunity to really showcase Lowell fairly easily. And both areas, coming from the west too, it's the same thing. You still need something out there. It's pretty bland right now, so it's. And then the blue ribbon, be able to address that somehow would be wonderful, I would think. You know, long term, I mean, it's got, something should be done there. And I don't know the process, but it seems to me as though something should be done
I
there.
think on that, it will probably have to, Nate, you can correct me, but if the roofs start caving in, there's processes that can be taken to either A, make repairs, or B, consider, you know,
Yeah.
uninhabitable.
Yeah, Sue, does the city have like a dangerous buildings ordinance or something like that that allows us to take down dangerous or
Yeah,
severely
yeah, there is
dilapidated?
something in place.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, that, at some point, if that were to happen, then there is a process in place that the city could work on rectifying that. But yeah, I agree, I mean, that's a, you know, prime spot and.
Prime piece, even if, you know, if the owner has, it should be compensated in a good manner, you know, to redo it somehow, or tear it down and start over, whatever, but it's just a prime piece that,
Well, the way our setbacks are with the railroad track and everything behind it, and
would be
the
difficult.
corner, yeah, you don't end up with much bigger of a building than what's currently there.
Right. But it's the look,
Hmm?
just the look of home, you know, the silos and all of that, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't, you know, 30 years ago it was probably fine, but now it just doesn't.
Looking worse and worse every year.
Exactly, exactly. And, you know, it's easier when you have something like this, you can take a look and say, oh, this is a possibility. How do we do it now? I mean, you know, you always teach kids to pick a college, it doesn't matter which one you go to, worry about the money after you get accepted. I mean, the same idea here, in my opinion, you gotta know what you wanna do. This is a great plan to start with. I'm count us, as commissioners, I'll speak for all of us, count us on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andy. And that brings us actually to the conclusion. So, is there a motion to
Motion to
adjourn?
adjourn?
And second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.